Something's happened bad in my relationship and I just want to be crushing it. I don't know what's going on. What's happening to me? Welcome back to the Corey Boutwell podcast. And today, guys, I'm going to be talking about tall poppy syndrome. Yes, finally. I was jealous as fuck of Chloe, my partner, and I was all tall poppy syndrome, boy. And I didn't even know that it was happening. And I had to come clean about it. And it's time for you guys to come clean too. Corey, why are you doing this to us? Because I want you to set the highest standard possible. I'm also in this podcast, I'm going to go over what tall poppy syndrome is, like, and how it affects you. I'm going to give you strategies for what you can do to stop it from happening to you. I'm going to give you strategies to stop buying into the tall poppy syndrome regime, we could say. And then I'm going to give you some practical tools that you can use every single day. And I'm just so excited for you guys to jump on this podcast. But essentially, one thing that I will talk about was it was really hard for me to realize that I had these massive insecurities about myself in regards to success, and I was projecting them all onto my partner, Chloe. And every time that when she was winning and succeeding, there was an energy that felt weird. It wasn't like we were bringing each other down or anything, because like we never do that. We're very supportive, but there was an energy there that just felt weird. And we always get to arguments and fights, and it was like, what is going on here? And it was all because of my tall poppy syndrome bullshit, and owning that sucked. But also owning it on the other end became incredible. And I'm going to teach you guys around like the whole thing. So let's get straight into it. What is tall poppy syndrome? Firstly, tall poppy syndrome doesn't just happen in Australia. I know Australians can see it regularly, but it's not just Australians. The whole world buys into tall poppy syndrome. We just do it more. I remember when I was in America and Chloe and I hired a Cybertruck, which is absolutely fantastic. And when we were there, most people in America, I'm not kidding, they'll wind down the windows. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Keep crushing it. Go. Push further. Push harder. Like yelling at us like this. And we were like, this is fantastic. When in Australia, what I would commonly recommend is people going, oh, look at that dickhead. So they'll be like, oh, look at that guy. They'd be like, the car looks like a flea anyway. Ugh, yuck. You know what I mean? Why would you want that? If I was to spend that much money on a car, I'd go to Lamborghini or I'd go to Raptor or something like that. Oh, if I had that much money, this is what I would get. Like what you currently is, you're the tallest poppy syndrome out of all of them. Goddamn. Right? So essentially what happens. Now, I will say that tall poppy syndrome is in America as well, because when we were there, someone yelled at us on the street and they was like, is it worth it now? Is it worth it? And we're like, hell yeah. It only cost us $1,000 USD to rent this thing for 24 hours. And it was absolutely fantastic. We had the best time ever. Chloe and I love attention, and that gave you the most amount of attention ever. Cybertrucks for the win. Let's go. So I'm going to talk about some of the philosophy first of tall poppy syndrome, and make sure you guys stick around to the end, because this is a beast of a podcast, this one. And one of my favorite philosophers is Friedrich Nietzsche. And he says that he would criticize this syndrome as a weakness of the masses who condemn excellence because it highlights their own mediocrity, highlights their own averageness. I'll repeat that again for you guys listening. Thinking caps on. He would criticize this syndrome as a weakness of the masses who condemn excellence because it highlights their own mediocrity. We don't want to be seen as mediocre. So when we see someone who's doing really well, when we compare ourselves to someone on social media, we see a friend who's starting to come up. It's like, oh shit, look at these insecurities myself. I'm not coming up with them. I want to connect with them and I want to be their friend still. But if they get too far, they're going to move away from me. So I have to bring them down to my average life. Fuck that, right? Fuck that. And he also talks about the Ubermensch or the Overman, right? And this is an individual who creates his own values and lives beyond the common morality of the masses. And Friedrich Nietzsche's idea of this person was someone who transcends humanity and the way that we live. And he talks about it a lot in his philosophy, and it's like we should all be striving to become the Overman or the Ubermensch, because he believes that humanity will eventually get there. And I just believe in it so much, and it's all got to do with how you show up internally. Super powerful, right? But it suggests that exceptional individuals should not be hindered by the envious views of others. Straight up, because he even talks about it in one of his books, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. If you read that book, it talks about the journey of a prophet who comes from the mountains into the real world, and he just gets met with all this tall poppy syndrome, and then he has to explain. And it's very similar to your own hero's journey and the hero's journey in general. The hero's journey, the hero is the change bringer. He's the one who brings change, according to Joseph Campbell's readings. And in your life, you're supposed to bring change. So if you're too young, or you can't do this new thing, or whatever it is, and you're getting met with all this projections from other people, your job and role is to convince them wrong It's knowing that, oh, everyone's going to project all the stuff onto me and I have to go and do this anyway and bring change. And then everyone will go, oh my God, I want a piece of that. That is when you know you're on your path, your own hero's journey path, which is the best place to be, because we all want to be the main character of our own story, right? We don't want to be NPC. Dostoevsky, another one of my favorite authors. I read his book, Crime and Punishment, and I read his book, Devils, after Jordan Peterson recommendation, and I read Notes from the Underground, and hectic reading, but he would talk about this as, and thanks to ChatGPT here, a tragic reflection of human insecurity and the destructive consequences of envy and spite. There's so much envy, spite, and resentment. So essentially what that means is to get over this, it's highlighting your own pain and the conflict within, right? And taking responsibility of that from ourselves, because there's pain and conflict that arise from human interactions, which are shaped by social norms. So even if your friend does something that's tall poppy syndrome towards you, or your family members do it, or your partner does it towards you, it's like, oh my goodness, that's not their words, because that's not original thinking. Tall poppy syndrome is definitely from societal thinking, because your own, when you're at your core and you're the best version of yourself and you are setting these standards, you're most disciplined, you're the most absolutely crushing it, you are the person who is so positive and is inspiring other people. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do at Set the Standard, right? In my men's personal development, community, what we're doing in there is we're getting as wealthy as possible. We're getting as jacked and healthy as possible with the most energy. We're becoming as smart and wise as possible. We're having the best relationship as possible. Every single person who comes and Set the Standard wants a relationship. Every single person wants to be more fit. Every single person wants to be held accountable to make sure that they are crushing it in their career, quitting their job, starting their new job, figuring out what their passion, their purpose is, and making sure all of the bullshit that tries to hold us back, we just remove that shit out the way, right? That's what we do. Accountability is legit. And that's what we want to be around. We want to be around communities like that and people like that, because you at your core is that. But I want you to forgive yourself anytime that you do tall poppy syndrome endeavors, right? And now we're going to get into it. I am going to start reading you out things that people say and things that people do in regards to tall poppy syndrome. And I want you to put your thinking caps on and think about who in your life does this. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. And what do you do? Do you say things similar to this? Because this is what's going to highlight your growth. Fantastic. Let's hit it. So friends and family would say things like this. Well, what would you leave your job for? Starting a business is stupid, right? That's just way easier at a job. Easier, goddamn. They are lucky. Anyone could do what they're doing if they had the money. Yeah, show off. Yeah, but they got rich parents. I bet their parents are rich as hell. Too young, lack experience, or questioning legitimacy of success. Oh, they're too young. What do they know? What would they know? Why would I go in that person? Why invest in that person? Oh, they must be on steroids. Oh, they haven't gone through what I've gone through. Oh, they're cringe on social media though. They're all cringy. I'd rather be like me than them as like an attitude for a cover up. What would you leave your job for? Starting a business is stupid. They don't give any real value. They just create content. They do OnlyFans. Oh, they must be doing something like OnlyFans. Some people might be, you know what I mean? The amount of people doing OnlyFans these days, holy dooly, right? You think you're better than us? You've changed. They think success comes from overnight. Give them a few years. Give them a few years. I can't take a boss seriously who is younger than me. When are they going to settle down and start a real life? Imagine having all that attention. I couldn't be bothered with that. I'd hate to be taking selfies and videos all day. Oh, that'd be so stupid. Imagine just walking around. They must be stupid. Blah, 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 blah. Try hard. Oh, they're probably doing something dodgy. Money isn't everything. Money isn't everything, right? And then, like, what people do commonly is this, and they do it in relationship as well. And they say things like this in relationships. Oh, good job. Could you clean the dishes, though? Oh, it must be nice to do that while I do everything at home. Oh, you're too busy to watch a movie? Anyone could do that if they ignored everything like you. Pulling away and being silent because they feel insecure about themselves. That's when they avoid. Using humor to mask feelings of jealousy. That's when like someone goes to win something. Can you just crack a joke about it? Avoiding talking about each other's success or failures. Like, I don't want to talk about your success or your failures because I'm just going to notice where I'm not good enough or operating at where I want to be operating at. And that's going to make me feel mediocre as hell, right? We don't want that. That's what people are at. And we have to face our own mediocrity in order to become excellent. Focusing on faults, criticizing random areas of the other person's life as a way to balance the perceived inequality in success. So if your partner's succeeding, or you find someone else succeeding and you're like, oh, let's talk about all these shit areas. Oh, but you used to do that thing. Remember, you did that and that was shit. And yeah, but you don't do this though. And focus on that. So that what that does is that brings that person down to your level, because it feels like they're at a different level. And when they're at your level, that reconfirms your own mediocrity beliefs about yourself, that that's okay, because you just want to genuinely connect with that person. You have this fear that they are going to leave you because you're mediocre and they are growing. Instead of focusing on yourself and damn well growing, focus on your own growth, right? So that's what happens. And then what people do, another one is sabotaging celebrations. Failing to participate or show enthusiasm during celebrations of the partner's achievements. Ding, ding, ding. Guilty of that one. Every time something would happen in me and Chloe's life, like when she was having some success, there was some sort of way where sabotage would come in, and I had to like completely own that about myself. And it was so hard to be like, ugh, why is this insecurity happening in me that I don't want to have, that's highlighting in me, that's preventing us from being able to connect. So what you do in this situation is, when it comes to celebrations, you have to hold all of the insecurities you have about yourself and take that in and think about why you're feeling insecure about you and what can I do instead to move across, and make sure that you celebrate that person and acknowledge them to the best of your ability. Because when they feel safe and secure from you, they're going to turn around and give you the support and help that you need to bring you up, but they're not going to if you try to bring them down with their own success. But when you do and they say, hey, thank you so much, and you're saying like, you know, I might need help with here, they are going to be so appreciative, like, wow, this person could hold me in my bigness and celebrate me and push me. This is so good. I feel so closer and connected to them. How can I help them come up too, right? And that is a genuine relationship. So it's going to be give and take. But if you're the one who's succeeding and you're not getting anything from the other person, it's going to make you feel like, oh man, now we're distancing myself and now I have to have this conversation because they're not inspiring me, right? It's the definition of friendship, mutual inspiration. And what other stuff people do on Tall Poppy Syndrome is they comment negative shit on other people's posts or side angle stuff. They also comment negativity on people's ads. You know, people who comment on ads, oh my goodness, if you're like over 50 years old and you listen to this, because majority of people are older who do that, and they comment on ads, why are you commenting on ads unless you want the product that people have on Instagram or Facebook? Oh my goodness. Sending posts or reels to friends behind other people's backs. Let that one land. Because there are sometimes, I'm sure there's people out here that have seen a friend do something and they've sent it to another friend, and then someone's going like, oh, what do you mean about that? And they go, oh shit, I was going to say something stupid about them. No, don't worry about it. They post their emotions on their stories, the DM notes, their Facebook statuses, on their feed posts, on anywhere that people can see what they have, to have unconscious digs at people. They'll say things like this, oh, some people, eye roll emoji. Like, oh, this new generation is fucked. The old generation is fucked. Oh, they don't do anything for me. And, oh, I'm not taking any more shit. They'll say all these different things on there to try to get other people's attention and make them go to confirm what that they are saying about themselves is right, to make sure that their own mediocrity makes sense to other people, and that is justified when it's fucking not. Damn, because then you're just contributing to the plague of Tall Poppy Syndrome if you're doing that. Because of your own insecurities, because you're not taking responsibility for your own shit. Right, but most of the time, there's like a lot of people don't have the communication skills to get across that. But where does it all come from, guys? Where does it all come from? Shame. Shame is the thing of where it all comes from, because shame occurs when you haven't been able to get away with the who that you want people to think you are. Shame occurs when you can't get away with the who that you want people to think you are. So you want people to think that you are this and that. But the next minute, because they are doing well or they're succeeding, you go, oh, they're not going to see me as this successful person either, so I have to bring them down to confirm that's like, okay, stay here and be in my own mediocrity to make me feel comfortable about myself. Instead of like, hey, there's a gap there. This person's getting away from you. Go fucking chase them by focusing on yourself. Or if you're so confident and fulfilled in yourself already, it doesn't matter. You go, hell yeah, you keep going. I will get there eventually. I'm focusing on me right now. I'm going for a period of growth. I'm going for a period of hard times and building foundation, and you're going for a period of growth. And then you probably go for a period of hard times and building foundation while I'm going through growth. That true friendship happens in those periods, right? And I like this because Robert Bly and Brene Brown talk about this. Robert Bly talks about this, and he's like an awesome men's masculine coach, is where I like to get a lot of my stuff from Set the Standard from. It's fantastic. He talks about how societal expectations can suppress genuine expression and achievement. So our goal is to express genuine expression and self-achievement, and it feels like we can't because of Tall Poppy Syndrome. And it's really scary, right? Because when it's solidified in by society, it's hard to get out. And shame gets stored in the body. It wants to hide, right? So shame goes, oh, I want to hide. I want to close off. I don't want to be seen. So if I'm really successful and I don't want to be seen as successful as I am because I don't want people's judgments to bring me down, to stop me having success, because I fucking love growing in success. I see this happen at our next level retreat. And if you want to come and extract this demon, like there's a link somewhere around here. Come join our next level retreat in Gold Coast. It's absolutely incredible. But what happens is I like set up this circle where people have to basically, these men have to go and own themselves, right? They'll be like, this is me and my bigness and my rawness, and this is why I'm so good. It's like sort of the exercise. And they come in shaking. Their whole bodies are legitimately shaking because it's so scary to be who they truly are in case they get judged from other people. And when everyone's celebrating and cheering them up like this highest capacity, it's absolutely fantastic. That's when the tall poppy syndrome gets to leave their body. Like it literally gets to leave, and it's so fantastic to watch, which is why people come out, you know, the next level retreat. They're making all this money. They find the partner. They're breaking up with the partners they don't want to be with. They're making change. They're moving places. They're building motocross tracks. Like whatever it is, right? It's crazy when they come out of it. And I love how Brene Brown talks about it as well. I finished a book, Dare to Lead, like last week, and it was such an awesome read because like reading all this shame stuff, and I read all this pretty hardcore philosophy, and then hers is such a beautiful, it's like a different language, and yes, it's deep, and yes, it's so beneficial in there's tools, but it just landed so easy in my brain. I'm like, oh, this is incredible. But she basically talks about how vulnerability is a strength, and how the fear of shame can lead individuals to cut others down to avoid feeling inferior. Her strategies involve embracing vulnerability and practicing empathy, which can mitigate the impacts of envy and resentment. So when it comes to vulnerability, that's being vulnerable in your pain, vulnerable in your power, and it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable, which is what she mentions with the Dare to Lead thing. And I have this theory around return on leadership instead of a return on investments, return on leadership, because when you can hold projections from other people, when you can be more authentic, when you can be more empathetic, when you can express your vulnerability towards others and have transparent conversations and be able to hold that in your relationships and with your staff and your customers and your clients, that is going to help you smash your business. And the people that I look up to in business who are absolutely crushing it, the ones who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars per year, and like my mentors and people that I like to hang around with, they're so positive. Their hearts are so open. They're so easily, they can just get vulnerable immediately and own their shit so quickly so that they can get to success, because success matters, not their own shit. And they don't care what anyone else thinks because of it. So I want to help you guys get to that today. And I'm going to give you some tools, right? And some tools. Number one tool is this one for relationship, is relationship check-in. And what it looks like, a relationship check-in, is you set your intention. This is my intention for the check-in. These are the boundaries I want to happen during this check-in. And then you talk about like the areas that you want to talk about in the relationship, and you say like this: what I appreciate you for in this area is, and you appreciate them. And then you say, what I'm withholding in this area is, and you tell them what you've been withholding. Because it's like, I could be holding resentment, judgment, jealousy, whatever it is. And this is where it is. And then you follow the last prompt that you say is, are you open to doing that for me? Great tool, right? And you have this relationship check-in once a week, and that can completely remove any tall poppy syndrome, and you guys can get to success so much more quickly together. How amazing, right? Self-reflect with shadow work. I think this is like one of the most important, right? Owning your own shit about you. The deeper your roots to hell, the higher the branches go to heaven. And you got to own that stuff about yourself. Always just sweep it under the rug, under the rug, under the rug, and then you'll be coming to me, one of my one-on-one clients, like, I have all this success, but it's kind of leaving now, and something's happened bad in my relationship, and I just want to be crushing it. I don't know what's going on. What's happening to me? I used to be smashing it, now I'm not. Right, that's what basically the gist of my one-on-one clients are. And then we remove all the shit. We set the plan. We push them. We hold them accountable, and then they go do something amazing. You know, make $1 million in a year, retire themselves at a young age because they've moved through all of that stuff. So this is where the shadow work comes from. And essentially, shadow work can be summarized by some of Carl Jung's work as the process of individuation. And you know you're doing the right shadow work when you're having painful realizations about yourself, and you are swallowing all kinds of bitter truths. Yes, I'm contributing to tall poppy syndrome. I get jealous. I drag people down. I act like this. I act like that. So that list of everything that I went through beforehand, that's for you to think, how am I contributing to this and adding into the plague of mediocrity? And what are other people doing that I need to stop them from doing? And I don't want to be around that, because that is bringing me down when I want to be growing, right? Shadow work will help with all of that. And that's just asking, like basically journaling and talking to friends, joining Set the Standard community if you want to absolutely get it ripped out of you. Whereas like, where am I Like, where am I jealous? Where am I insecure? Why is that happening? Let's think about these things. Let's actually get to the root cause of the problem and solve it instead of just sitting on it for ages, not doing anything. Having personal goals, right? This is really important. This is like, you're on your path and you do whatever you want and I'm on my path. These are my goals, and regardless if you come with me, regardless if you judge me or not, regardless if you reject me, regardless of how much I want you to come with me, regardless of how much I don't want to do it by myself, I'm going to be doing it by myself anyway and getting there. And if you want to come with me, fine, I invite you. If not, all good. You get to where you got to go as well. And you're just focusing on you. That looks like, traveling by yourself. That looks like going away on the weekend by yourself. Like, I find this really hard to do, right? Just because I like to include everyone. So it's challenging for me to do this. So if you're like this, I fucking relate to you big time. But we got to get through it. And every time I've had my most success is when I'm just focusing on me and not disregarding everyone else. And not to be rude about it. It's just like, some people are, oh, hey, do you want to come to this thing? Like, nah, sorry, I got to focus on my goals this night because I'm focusing towards that. And they go, okay, other times, do you want to come to this thing? Yeah, I can. It fits, which is really cool. Having micro celebrations, dinners, lunches, breakfasts, social media posts, and not rejecting someone's effort. So you're a partner, a friend, or family could do this for you. They could put up a social media post for you and it could be the worst social media post ever. It could be shit. Like, okay, the social media post that you put up for me was shit. And what you said was more about you, but whatever. Still celebrate and thank that person for giving it a shot because they're going to have to get good. Most of the time, this tall poppy syndrome, we can't have expectations for the effort that people want to have or want to give us with tall poppy syndrome because a lot of people don't know how to celebrate people when it comes to the tall poppy syndrome. It's hard for people to do that. They do not have the language, especially in Australia and New Zealand, of pushing people, encouraging them, celebrating them, thanking them, getting them to the next level, right? They don't have that language. So if someone puts up a post, thank them for it anyway. And they go, oh, I could do this better this time. We want to encourage any effort whatsoever, especially if you're in a relationship. If your partner puts up a post and it's shit, encourage them anyway. Say thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. The effort that you put into that and thought about me, I appreciate that so much. Then they'll be able to do it again and again and again. Because if you go, oh, that's shit, like what the hell? Like you just made that about you, blah, 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 whatever. If you get something like that happening in your relationship or someone does an event or a dinner and it's like, it's not perfect, it's not what you want, or it's like, oh, like the effort that you put into that was really low. But they still made the effort, thank them anyway. Because if you don't, you're contributing to tall poppy syndrome. Because immediately what you're doing is if they're trying to celebrate you, is like you're bringing them back down, right? You're bringing them back down and putting them back down to, that was like a mediocre effort, keep being mediocre. Instead of like, oh, you gave it a shot, keep going, right? So that's how we want to shift that. And it's so important to make sure you have those micro celebrations. Outsource tasks at home, especially if you're in a relationship. These conversations are way more important, especially in regards to getting to your goals and having a fulfilling future connected with a partner. So making sure that tasks are outsourced at home. And if you can't outsource them, you're supporting each other in your tasks and really taking responsibility. Sorry, I said I was going to do that thing. I didn't do that thing. Let me do this. Let me do this for you. Let me do this. Okay, let me do this. Let me contribute here. I did my tasks. These are our tasks together. Let's go. And let's talk about how we can support each other more at home and deliver on that. And then not shame someone if they they miss a task when they don't do the dishes or whatever it is. Like, hey, instead of like, oh, you didn't do the dishes again. Hey, can you please do the dishes? It's just different. Hey, the dishes need to be clean. I'm focusing on this in the moment. Could you please do it for me? Awesome. And then setting boundaries, right? We have intellectual, emotional, and physical boundaries, right? And you can have direct boundaries, semi-direct boundaries, and then like really nice boundaries. I like the direct approach. So if someone to me is like, oh, don't get married. Why would you do that thing? That thing is stupid. I'll say like, don't put your shame on me. I don't want that. That's straight up. Don't shame me. I don't want some of your shame. I'll say that directly to someone and have done before. You can also say something in the way. Let's say someone said, one of the lines here that we've got. Let's say someone said to you, like, you're too young to do that. Like, that's stupid, right? Let's say someone says that, like says something that like that to you. You say, hey, just letting you know, my goals are different to yours. And this is the path that I want to go down. And how you said that to me, I experienced as judgment and it's sort of bringing me back down. And I don't want to be around that energy, to be honest. So I would actually really appreciate your support. So when I'm trying to do like focus on my goals and mission, can you please support me and encourage me and push me up? Because otherwise it just feels like you're bringing me down. You can be so direct like that, right? And what's really good in that situation is just mentioning, because what happens is with that quote, right? The shame is the who. Shame occurs when you haven't been able to get away with the who. You want other people to think you are. So what happens is that person is trying to think that they're like you and your success, and they go, no, come back and be like me. So all you need to do is just separate in the conversation really quickly that you guys are different. Hey, I'm different to you and these are my goals. Immediately they're going to go, oh, it's okay to be different, right? And I don't want to be growing at a level that you're growing. I want to be growing faster. I don't want you to support me to get on faster. You're my friend, right? Just because you're not growing as fast as me doesn't mean that I don't love you, right? As long as you're focusing on growing yourself, that inspires me. So keep going, right? Just having that conversation is absolutely fantastic. And it's just like making it positive. And then you can say something along the lines of, let's say you heard someone say something like, oh, that person's, that person, someone else there is too young. And it's like, hey, you say something along the lines of, I see your point of view, but I just want to let you know that, no, I think that's about it. How would I say it as nicely as possible? I'd say something along the lines of, hey, I love you so, I'd say something along the line, if it's a friend, I'd be like, hey, I appreciate this about you, but what you just said then, I don't think was authentically you. And I think you have a lot more passion, a lot more purpose, and that come across as if, is like more negative. And usually you're a much more positive person. So I just want to remind you that you've got what it takes and you can go out there and crush it. Something positive like that. That's what I would mention to someone to highlight to them. Like I would think, how can I appreciate this person from where they're at and highlight to them that they said something that was out of character? Because anyone at their core wants to win. They want to be inspiring. They want to support and push other people. They want to be setting the standard, baby. Everyone wants to have a jacked, sexy looking physique. Everyone, I don't care who you are, you want to have a beautiful looking physique. You want to have, you want to be succeeding and growing in your career so that you can provide to other people, making impact, be inspiring, be a provider. And you want to have a relationship where you can deeply connect and have intimate moments with someone that charge you up. Everyone wants that. And everyone can have that when we're all more on the same team and we're dealing with our own shit, which is what we do in our next level retreats and the Men Set the Standard community. And like, if you're a guy and you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I want to get around some of this accountability, come join us. You get a sneaky discount in the Set the Standard. There's links around here somewhere. But if you don't have the like abundance, or you haven't done or invested in anything like that beforehand, then please use ChatGPT. Please read some books on, read Brene Brown, read Robert Bly, read the book Facing Shame, so that you can start dealing with this tool poppy stuff. Everything that I mentioned here, put into practice and use, guys. These are the tools. So if you like this, please leave a comment below and subscribe. I'd love you guys to subscribe. Don't miss anything. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Can't wait.